G'day and welcome to the Game Day Squad Fantasy Cricket Show. I'm Dill, that's Stu, and we are the Fantasy Bros. Unfortunately, once again, we are without Paz, but we are back for a live Oz Cricket preview. Look, no doubt Paz is probably a bit sore from his pre-season AFL training, but we wish him all the luck in the upcoming season, both, like I said last week, in real life and in the fantasy realm. As always, thanks to everyone tuning in. We've already got plenty of comments coming through. There's plenty of comments on Discord as well that we will try and get to. Whether you are watching us live or catching up on replay, we really appreciate your support. Today, we're going to be previewing round 15. Look, Mel said in the comments, kind of sad, to be honest, this season has flown by. Yes, it has. It feels like just the other day we were starting our preseason, looking at the textbook, and all of a sudden we are at finals. And it's also a sad moment because, unfortunately, Stu, our team was knocked out of the competition.
They sure were, Dill. Yeah, g'day, mate. G'day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Gee, that game that we didn't expect to go ahead at the Gabba certainly did go ahead. We got all 40 overs in, and it looked like the Heat were a bit of a chance at various stages throughout that match. But, yeah, some of those Sixers boys just a little bit too good. Hey, I think we might need to dock Hazard, Throwdown Showdown point or two at least for missing so many shows. So if you think that's fair in the comments section, let us know. We don't have to tell him, of course, but yeah, you can't get away with missing 2 or 3 shows and still be atop the Throwdown Showdown leaderboard. Yeah, so although the Heat didn't go so well, mate, the Fantasy Bros certainly did in terms of a leaderboard position. 3rd in Classic for myself, 19th in Challenger, 2nd in Champion, moves me to 3rd overall season long. A big 250 points behind Fez and Beast Mode, so I think it's going to be pretty tough to catch both of them. If I can hang on to that podium finish, I'll be more than happy. So I'll probably be looking at a few safer picks in that competition, and maybe a few pod plays, a few hit and hopes in Classic and Challenger, since Champion looks like where I might be locking up a prize card, fingers crossed. I did see plenty of Fantasy Bros logos throughout the leaderboard. How did you go?
Yeah, mate, look, congratulations on your 3rd and 2nd in Classic and Champion. I was a little bit muffed that I got the 4th in Champion, just about 20 or so points behind you. Look, 4th is painful, but at least I did see our good friend Prison Mike below me there on the Champion leaderboard, so I was pretty happy with that. Had 7th in Classic and 8th in Challenger as well. So I actually did quite well in terms of diversifying players across the teams and was able to hit quite a few across all teams. So I had a few pods here and there as well. So pretty happy with that. Look, has sent through his ranks as well. He had 12th in Contender, 5th in Classic, and 18th in Challenger. That leaves him 13th for the season overall. He's really hoping for that top 10 finish to secure an all-star for next season. So he's about 70 points behind you at the moment, Stu, who is sitting 10th in Challenger. So it's a little bit of maybe a Fantasy Bros rivalry over the next three or so weeks and 3 or so games. And yeah, big couple of days for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it. I think he's going a little bit safer in that competition to get up that leaderboard, and that's the one I'll be taking a few extra risks in. So we'll see how that goes. Like you said, mate, only 3 shows to go. That's right, isn't it? 3 rounds. We've got the
3 rounds.
The all important win and in this evening. We've got the knockout fixture coming up Friday, I think it might be, and then the final, the last Big Bash match of the season, Sunday evening. So look, new users can still get involved. They can still sign up using the promo code SUMMER. We will be dropping our new promo code for both AFL and Rugby League. So stay tuned for that, everyone. You'll get plenty of packs if you sign up using that code as well, or if you get some friends involved. So make sure you spend some time between the dreaded end of Big Bash and start of footy season, getting a few mates involved, family members, let them know how good GDS is, and we'll send you out that brand new promo code pretty soon. But if someone wants to get involved for the final 3 rounds of Oz Cricket, they can do so using the promo code SUMMER. That's all capital letters, SUMMER. They'll get 3 player common packs, plenty of bronze cards as well, and see if they can get some round cash or pack prizes. 3 rounds to go, mate. We'll preview the fixtures. We'll talk about the bat, wicketkeeper, all-rounder and bowlers that we are planning our flags with each round. And Brodan Showdown, 3 rounds left. I don't know if we can catch the leader. We'll have to do some maths and calculations, although it has been Dr. Point, I'm sure of it. So 3 more ways that fans can still and listeners can still win plenty of cards. And they're going to want to tune in as well for Aussie Rules and Rugby League, because there's a stack more free cards to give away. So don't have long, mate, before team lists will come out. Shall we get into the preview?
Yeah, before we get into and jump into that couple of games, look, there's plenty of comments already coming through. Make sure you keep commenting if you've got any questions for either Stu or I to discuss. There's a whole range of comments. Obviously, majority of them, as you can see, that second game tomorrow night. It's got a bit of rain around, so we'll talk about that in a moment. Mianji put in a comment here. What do you think, mate, on going 11 players from the first game and not risking those overall rankings? And look, that is a strategy that I'm going to employ in 1 or 2 of my teams. I'm not going to let everyone know which team that is yet, but I will be definitely playing that strategy of loading up in tonight's game and hoping that it does rain tomorrow, but then also playing some pods and some big pods in tomorrow's night's game, hoping it does go ahead in a couple of other competitions. Either way, you're obviously a bit of a risk, and I know that you said earlier in the Discord, Stu, that look, really at the end of the day, it's 50% chance it rains, 50% chance it doesn't. So you've got to take a bit of a risk at times. And either way, either strategy, I guess, of either loading up in this game or not is going to be a big risk. And you've got 50% chance of success. So there's a lot of people, a lot of things to consider for people and a lot of coaches. And we'll try and break down as best we can. And at the end of the day, I think it's because you've got 3 comps to play with. You can obviously put all your eggs in one basket for one particular comp that you're really focused on, and then the other 2 you can play around a bit. And I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit more. I know there's plenty of chat over on Discord as well, but make sure you get those comments in. Look, as you can see on screen, tonight's game at Optus Stadium, it does kick off a little bit later, 6:30. So we'll probably get some team lists, some final 11s through in the next sort of 20 minutes or so. Clear skies over at Optus Stadium, as we've seen pretty much all season, except for that first game. Over at Optus, the all-player average this season has been 36 GDS points. First innings batting average is only about 19. Chasing average is down at 17. So not too much difference, but obviously lower because of some of those shortened matches that we had at the start of the season. Since last season, the Sixers have allowed only 30 GDS points on average to Scorchers, while the Scorchers have been giving up an average of 36.2 to Sixers players. Heading to tomorrow night, as we said, potentially a bit of rain around. At the moment, the forecast sort of says partly cloudy, high chance of showers in the afternoon and evening, and 50% chance of at least 2 millimetres. So make of that what you will. I know that obviously plenty of discussion with the Brisbane game on the other night at the Gabba. There was a lot of rain expected on that Sunday night. I think a couple of storms rolled through, and then it was perfect clear skies for the rest of it. So yeah, we can't necessarily lean on that weather forecast, but it's going to be interesting over the next 24 hours or so. If that game does go ahead over at Ninja Stadium, the all-play average there is actually 38.2, so it's one of the highest in the venues anyway, albeit the last remaining couple of venues left. And the big key for me is since last season, the Canes have allowed a massive 47 GDS points to the Stars, while the Stars have restricted the Canes to only 27.1. Based on those 2 games, is there anything in particular that stands out, or is it really just, again, that same sort of conversation that we had last week, mate, about the weather and what we're going to do with that weather?
Yeah, a few points that stick out here. Gee, that stat there about the Canes allowing 47 and the Stars only restricting Hurricanes to 27 points. Is it the year of the Star? Gee, wouldn't Melbourne Stars fans be filthy if that game did get washed out and the Hurricanes go through, given they finished higher on the ladder? You'd expect Cricket Australia to do everything they can to get that fixture rolling. We have seen in the past some Big Bash matches played under some dubious conditions with a little bit more weather around than you typically see. If it was like that in a test match, that absolutely no way that they'd be on the pitch. But there seems to be a little bit, as long as safety is still the number one priority, they have allowed to be a little bit looser there for those Big Bash matches. But yeah, gee, is it the year of the Star? They haven't won the tournament yet. They've still got the Canes in front of them. wouldn't they be filthy though if that match does get abandoned? Deal for me, it's probably the Optus match this evening, where I think, most coaches who certainly want to err on the side of caution and play safe, I think they're going to stack most of their team with tonight's players. But looking at those batting numbers, they don't make for good reading, do they? With both first innings and chasing teams averaging about 20 points or less than 20 points per GDS batsman. So I had a quick look at the Scorchers chased that down in the 17th over. The Scorchers down in the final over. Scorchers 153. Strikers could only muster 120 in response. Scorchers that rain affected first match. Sixers 113 from their 11 overs. So in all of those 4 matches, the team batting first has not won. So the chasing team has won, but it has gone pretty deep. It's gone sort of right to those. The one that strikers could only muster 120 in response. Those last 2 matches, 130 by the Stars and 127 by the Scorchers, don't make for great reading, given the first innings score there of 1. We'll be hoping that number is pushing sort of 160 to 1. If they're loading up plenty of players this evening, and particularly in my dominant team. So hoping that whichever team does win that bat flip, or whichever team does bat 4 and it does go down to the wire, the more runs on the board, obviously, the better that second innings chase is going to be. We don't want to get in a position where that first team does only score 130 like the last 2, and then the second team can chase that down only 1 or 2 wickets down. It probably won't pay off for coaches loading up on that game.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously that depending on who bats first and second, there's going to be a lot of selection decisions there as well. With the likes of Josh Philippe coming in at 3, you'd hate to see that the Sixers just bat with the openers and get the job done. And, if someone does play Josh Philippe and he doesn't score at all, or doesn't have a chance to score, it's going to be pretty disappointing. So, bat flip's going to be super important, I think, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Look, another question's come through from Mel. She's asked us, are you lads jumping onto any bandwagons now the Heat are out? Stu, are you looking at any particular team out of those 4 that you're supporting now?
Well, look, you'd expect some of our mates to be listening to our shows either live or catching up. So if Big G Train is listening, and he can message us in the group chat and say, I heard what you said, boys, then I'm more than happy to jump on the Sydney Sixers bandwagon. So there you go, Gordo. I'm sure you're listening, mate. Let us know in the chat if you are. And I will be a Sydney Sixers fan for the remainder of the competition. And I'll even wear a pink shirt to work either one day this week or next week. So other than that, I'm actually a Perth Scorchers fan. I love how they play their cricket. I got a soft spot for a number of their plays, given they feature heavily throughout my teams just about every single match day. And the good thing about that is even if they lose this evening, they've still got a second bite next match between either the Hurricanes or the Stars. And look, if the Stars do manage to get up and win, then good on them. But I do sort of like that narrative of no tournament wins for the Stars. Yeah,
I like that. And I was going to mention that another one of our mates, Uji, is a massive Stars fan, and I would love to give him some rubbish over the next couple of days that if the Stars don't make it again and they choke at the last hurdle. But look, I'm on the same as you. I think the Scorchers are probably my second team as well, mainly due to the personnel. They're obviously Finn Allen's a big one there. I love Marley Beardman. I love Cooper Conley and what they produce as cricketers. I kind of find myself leaning towards the Perth Scorchers more often than not. So joining Timo, who's obviously the number 1 Scorchers fan, out there. Good on you, Timo. So, yeah, that's where I'm sort of leaning. And look, they've been dominant for both probably the Sixers and Scorchers have been pretty dominant really across the BBL over the last 15 years. So, yeah, they're entertaining cricket sides, and it's great to watch them when they are on fire. So, yeah, bring on a good game tonight. And with that, mate, should we get into the preview for round 15, which includes those two games? At the top there, you can see we've got our bat wicket keepers and we've got our top 5 averaging across the season. Massive 115 average there for Steve Smith. He is just on another level, and it's crazy to think. And look, we could probably spend a whole podcast just talking about how Steve Smith makes it into that T20 side. And I'm sure that Cricket Australia are trying to find as many possible ways to get him into the World Cup team at the moment, for sure, the way that he is playing. Second up there is Cooper Connolly, still sitting on that around 60 plus, 66 average at the moment. Sammy Harper still out there in the middle on 62 averaging. Finn Allen at 59, and then Nickel Chowdhury still in there on 49. So some big names there, and no doubt we'll be looking at a number of those players in the bat wicketkeeper position. Talking about that, mate, who are you looking at targeting this round, knowing that we've got a lot of weather around and we've got some pretty decent options in that first game?
Yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and in Haz's absence, I'm going to actually take 3 players, and I'm going to tell you why. Steve Smith, Cooper Connolly, and Finn Allen clearly separate themselves from the rest of the field, and coaches will be crazy not to at least consider starting all 3 and then maybe finding a wicket keeper that I think you're going to speak about shortly as well. I think coaches are more than entitled to fade game 2 entirely, particularly in the bat position, given how good these 3 have been pretty consistently when they have played. We all know that Steve Smith still sits in a tier of his own. He absolutely dominates the competition when he returns from test duties. He's looked unstoppable, Smudge has. He scored that epic 100 from 42 for 155 GDS points. And then pretty classy 54 for against the Heat. Was a rain out, and we got the massive 155 base, and I think a diamond was about 217, which is absolutely insane. So even if the Heat game was a single fixture, if you look at it that way, 60. Obviously, as a batsman, Smudge could get a fantastic ball from a bowler and get out pretty cheap, but that's what we know happens in the bat position. But he's just been so good in every single time that he takes the field for the Sixers at the back end of the summer. So I expect that to continue as well. He opens the batting, he takes full advantage of the power play, and he even turns down singles to ensure that he can get on strike to face the power play overs, which I absolutely love as well. He's got really safe hands in the field. That keeps his floor extremely high. I say just lock Smudge in and enjoy. The other bat option who's in a lot of form is obviously Finn Allen, your boy. Recent scores of 93, 138, and 60. So like Smith in absolutely superb touch. His boundary ratio, 21 fours and 33 sixes, is by far the most superior to any other batsman, showing that he doesn't just want to find the ropes. He just wants to absolutely clear them, and is the only batsman to have that sort of ratio with way more sixes than fours, which is absolutely incredible. So you know when he's on that there's plenty of catching practice available for the people in the stands. He's also third on the list for all bat eligible players to take catches with 7. So that's pretty handy upside in the field, knowing that he's probably going to be in those hot spots pretty frequently. And even if he doesn't go so well with the bat, hopefully a catch or 2 in the outfield bumps up that score. And finally, if anyone needed any reminding that you simply cannot fade Cooper Connolly despite a bit of a form slump with the bat, he still put up scores of 82 and 49 despite scoring just 20 combined runs from those 2 games. If any other batsman scores 20 in 2 games with the bat, you're going to be super annoyed with a pretty low score, but not with Coop. Turner trusts him so much with the ball. So he's just a stud all-round option available in the bat position. Don't overthink it. Just look at his 5 scores with the bat in Perth so far this season. 2, 3, 6, and a duck, as well as the 59. Yet he's still averaging 66 GDS points. 4 down games at Perth, a bit worrying, but those 3, I think, are just about certainties for me.
Yeah, and look, let's just break down a couple of things there. Firstly, Finn Allen and his absolutely ridiculous boundary ratio. I did see that Perth Scorchers had a bit of fun today in their social media, and they put up the most sixes by any team in the competition, and they've had 107 sixes in this competition, which is 35 more than the next best. And against their opposition tonight, the Sixers have hit 44 sixes all tournament. So huge difference there between those two teams. And obviously, Finn Allen has been one of the key men for that. The second thing for me is Cooper Connolly. It doesn't matter if he has a down game with the bat. He makes up with his bowling, but then also with the fielding as well. I don't think we should discount that. He's taken plenty of catches. He's averaging 6 in the field, 33 with the ball in hand, and then 25 with the bat. So I think it's a perfect 3-dimensional player in the bat position where we don't really see that at all. So I'm more than happy just to continue playing him, knowing that he might have another down game in Perth, but he's probably going to make up with that with a couple of catches and maybe a wicket or two as well. The hard thing there is fading everyone in game 2 when there's some definite options and some advantage that we could take. It's probably ideal. We know that the weather's around. It's probably just easier just to fade everyone. But if there is a game tomorrow night, then there are probably some runs to be had for batsmen. Both teams actually allow an average of over 34 GDS points. That's the Hurricanes and the Stars to that bat position, which is more than the batting average for the whole year for every batsman that's gone out. And the key for me is batting at 2 and 3 against the Canes. They're actually averaging 53.6 GDS points, while it's the opening bats against the Stars that are averaging 47. So, look, depending on batting lineups, obviously, but Joe Clark, Campbell Callaway, and Tim Ward may actually become some sort of super pods if we get a full lot of overs there. If we get that full game, obviously the hard part is actually taking that risk, not knowing whether they will line up or not.
Yeah, spot on. I think any coach game enough to take a risk of fading any of those 3 that I mentioned. Still, yeah, every chance that they can get a big score, and there won't be many other coaches playing them in the competition. So a great way to differentiate. If you can just nail that, maybe that one pick, whether it's those 3 blokes you mentioned or someone like Chowdhury, who's actually bowled in their last couple of matches as well, without much success, but always pretty handy with the batsman bowling. Coming in at 5 isn't ideal. Yeah, I will in a couple of my teams, which I'm just sort of hitting and hoping and going for a couple of those pod plays. I'll definitely be slotting in one of those, but the safe play, the confident play for me is the 3 batsmen tonight, which just leaves the wicketkeeper position. How are you going to fill that in?
Yeah, so it's a tough one because obviously Harper playing tomorrow night is probably in any other week and any other round probably at the top of the list there. But I think out of all of the wicket keepers available, there's probably the 3 that people are looking at, and that's Harper, Inglis, and Flip. And I know that Mian put into Discord as well whether we would go Inglis versus Philippi tonight. So I kind of took all 3 and had a bit of a look at where maybe we could find some advantage and see what the stats say about that before then making that decision, albeit having rain around may change that as well. But Harper's played the 10 games. He's averaging 58.4 across all of his games. Probably going to be slightly different to what you see on GameDay squad because they have had a double. So in that GameDay squad stats center, they don't show both games in that double game. It just shows the best of that round. So if he had a down game there, they wouldn't necessarily show it. So his average might be a little bit higher. Look, that's come about mainly through obviously his batting prowess. But the thing that I like is that he's actually averaging 11.1 in the field as well, which is great. Behind the stumps, obviously getting involved quite a lot. He's had 9 games at bat with scores with 4 scores above 30. He's been able to take that past 53 times. So that's a really good average, taking on that 30, getting that bonus, and then being able to double that bonus going to that next level as well. Compared to Josh Philippi, he's played the 9 games. He's averaging 40.5 across all of his games. He's only got 8 fielding and 8 GDS points fielding, 7 catches and a stumping as well. He's batted in all of his games, but he only got 3 games above 30. One of those he did go to 96, so he went all out there, but he also got out a duck for a duck in one of those games. So it's probably something to think about as well, along with that idea that Smith and Bubba are actually playing quite nicely together at the moment. And Flip hasn't really had a big opportunity. The third one that's a bit of an outlier is Inglis. He's played the 3 games. He's averaging 46.5 GDS points. He's got 22.2 fielding points on average per game. So that is a massive difference between the other two. He's taken 6 catches and had a run out in 3 games. He's had 1 game where he's had 30 runs or more, and then the other 2 a couple of down games. So it doesn't tell a huge lot in terms of the small sample size that Inglis has, but I really don't mind Inglis in this one tonight, considering he's able to take so many catches behind the stumps, because we know how good the fast bowlers are at the Scorchers, and we know how hard and fast that deck plays at Optus. But look, let's have a look at some more stats for those that are complete nerds. Scorchers allow an average of 37.3 to wicketkeepers, which is most of the final 4. That includes a 41 from Flip earlier in the season, whereas the Sixers allow an average of 33.4, and then the Canes even less, only 25 to wicketkeepers. So based on that, it's sort of leaning towards Philippe. Again, Optus Stadium has an average of about 30 to wicketkeepers this season. Ninja slightly better, about 30.8. So those stats don't necessarily give us what we want, but I would say that it's going to come down to the bat flip, I think, tonight. The weather in Hobart, obviously, leaning towards the game tonight. Going to put a line through Harper at the moment in my main team and just focus on potentially either Philippe or Inglis. And like I said, it's going to be about the bat flip. This season, Philippe's had 4 games batting first and 5 games chasing. When he's batted first, he's had an average of 45 runs. When chasing, that average drops down to 12. And interesting, the first 4 games of the season were batting first, followed by the next 5 games were chasing for Josh Philippe. So be interesting to see how that plays out tonight. Since Steve Smith's returned as well, I mentioned him and Bubba playing quite well together. Flip's only had runs of 1 and 8. So obviously there's something there to be said where Flip's just come out. They've already got a big score on the board, and he's just gone, I don't need to make any runs. I can just throw my wicket away and have a bit of fun here, and obviously gets out quite cheaply. If that happens again tonight, you're going to be pretty disappointed. On the other side of the match, Inglis also has a better record when batting first, albeit it's a small sample size. In the 2 bats, when he's batted first, he's had a 13 and a 42. When chasing once this season, he's only had a score of 1. So again, I think it's just going to come down to who bats first. It's similar to what you said earlier. If the team that bats first can put on a decent score, then we're going to have a great game here. So I think that's going to be important. At the moment, I am leaning Inglis. Just because of the firepower that they have when they are batting first, and having Mitch Marsh, Finn Allen, and then Josh Inglis in that top 3 is awesome. But I think it's all going to come down for me to that bat flip and to find out who's batting first, and that might decide whether I go Philippe or Inglis.
Yep, nailed it. Exactly the same as me. We're not even guaranteed to see Inglis at 4 bat in a second innings, given how good that top order can be, depending on what score the Sixers put up first, obviously. And then, as silly as it might sound, the same thing in reverse. If Smith and Bubba have another huge partnership and Philippe doesn't see meaningful time at the crease in a second innings chase, then you're left stranded, or you got him playing silly shots like he did in that last match, which was woeful. So yeah, I think you're spot on there with the bat flip. Just having a quick look at some Inglis versus Philippe stats at the Optus Stadium. Josh Inglis, 28 innings, a high score of 72. 23.7 average, not amazing, 133 strike rate. But Philippe, 6 innings, 14.4 average at a 128 strike rate. And that 14.4 average includes a top score of 32 not out. So I don't know what the rest of his scores look like if he still had some red ink there, but still only has a 14.4 average. I know that doesn't tell a big story or a big picture or the whole picture, but certainly Josh Inglis gets the nod in that regard as well. You watch, the Sixers are going to bat first, and then we're going to be forced to play Philippe and regret it all night long.
Yeah, for sure. Either way, whichever way we end up going, we're going to regret something because it's just the way. It's the way the fantasy gods play, and it always happens. But that's okay. We push on. And we push on into the all-rounder position. Look, the all-rounder position this season has been unreal. And you can see there 3 of the top 6 all-rounders this season are dominated by the Sixers. And in fact, look, both top averaging players across the bat, wicketkeeper and all-rounder have all been from the top 4 teams in the finals. So it's pretty easy to see why they're there. Stoinis still sitting at the top there on 80. It's going to be a big discussion whether we play Stoinis or not this round. Aaron Hardy finally has found some absolute form, and he's sitting on that average of 68. We know at the start of the season wasn't kind to Aaron Hardy. Jackie Edwards on 68 as well is still plodding along really nicely. Bo Webster's only had a couple of matches, but he's sitting at a nice 64 average, and we get to see him with the ball more often than not. And then we've got Curran and Davies as well. Obviously, Sam Curran, which we will talk about quite a lot, is that the big thing is that he is not playing tonight. He has left the Sydney Sixers side. But Joel Davies is probably the surprise packet out of all of them there. He's just gone about his work quite quietly, and he's had a decent crack at it with the bat, but I think it's been the work with the ball and just that changing from pace into the spin and being able to take a wicket or 2 whenever he needs to. So, yeah, it's good to see Davies on the board there. Out of those, mate, is there anyone in particular that you're going to target, or are you kind of going to go with 3 again and just talk about 3 blokes?
Yeah, just quick apologies to, I think Mitchy Marsh should probably be on that top 6 instead of Sam Curran. Just sneaks in there after the departure of Sammy Curran. Yeah, look, it's going to be tough to come up with 4 options, particularly if you want to put all your eggs in one basket this evening. Obviously, we're going to get the 11 named pretty shortly, which could help out a little bit. I think Joel Davies is going to be an excellent pod based on his early form pre-Sam Curran, if we can go back to that sort of form. I think he's a shout for a few teams. But for me, I'm going to be a bit boring here. And off the back of Sammy Curran's departure, just remind everyone about Jackie Edwards, who's had a couple of down games when Curran's taken that sort of limelight. But now I think Edwards is back as one of the most reliable, high upside all-rounder picks for the round. 10 games so far this season, 543 GDS points, an average of 67.8, puts him firmly among the elite all-rounders in the competition. But what really stands out is just how balanced he can be in with both bat and ball. He's contributed 115 runs, 11 fours, 6 sixes, and he often comes in during those really important high leverage middle overs phases where they might take a power play or a power surge, which obviously boosts that run rate. We've seen Curran take advantage of that twice in his short stay. If he wasn't there, typically you'd probably expect someone like Edwards to be in a little bit sooner to take advantage of that. So we could probably be talking about some bigger numbers from Jackie Edwards, but that's been stifled a little bit, obviously, with Sam Curran. He's obviously now left. We've said that a few times already, but we know it's the bowling that Edwards really stands out and where his value really spikes. 15 wickets so far this season, 87 dot balls, just the 8 extras, and he's really trusted in those pressure situations, even with a plethora of really good bowlers amongst that Sixers lineup. We did see Curran bowl the 20th over 3 matches in a row, I'm pretty sure. So obviously that is up for grabs. Now, Starkey sort of gets that 19, which is probably when you want your best bowler to bowl that penultimate over rather than the 20th. So fingers crossed, hopefully we go back to Jack Edwards getting a sniff there for the 20th over, or at least some of those really important middle overs where the batsmen are going after the ball. He's getting a lot of power surge overs, and the aggression at Optus Stadium certainly brings about some mistimed shots and some nicks to the keeper behind. So, yeah, I think Jack Edwards is a bit of the forgotten man lately because of how good Sam Curran has been. We can look back at those numbers pre-Sam Curran, and Jack Edwards would be at the top of just about everyone's list.
Yeah, and I think, look, we've touched on already, but the key obviously is Sam Curran's departure in his stint, and he was the best of all of those all-rounders, particularly with the 3-dimensional game set that he had. He was averaging 13 in the field, 37.7 with the ball and 30 with the bat, which is well and above all of the all-rounders that they've got in the side. And we've already talked extensively of the Sixers all-rounder options and how deep they can bat, but also how deep they can bowl as well. The thing is that those GDS points have to go somewhere. I think Jedward's is going to have a share of that. I think Joel Davies potentially could be a beneficiary of that. But I also think a man that I think really is the forgotten man, even more so than Jack Edwards, might be the beneficiary as well, and that's Benny Warshish. He's had a real tough run this season. Look, we hyped him up a lot in the off-season and the pre-season. He got an all-star card, and he probably just hasn't met those heights that he did last year. And I think part of that is the Sixers have been heavy all-rounder, and they've shared the wickets around quite a lot, and he hasn't been able to rely on his batting like he did last season. Jedward has 15 wickets, as he said. Davies 11, Abbott 7. Kerr even has 4 in his limited time. Curran has 5 in his short stint. Warshish himself has taken equal second most for the team with 11 wickets as well. So he's still plodding along quite nicely, but we probably just want to see a little bit more from him. The Sixers haven't really needed him at all either. We haven't really relied on Dwarshuis with the bat. And we've probably sorely missed that 116 runs that he had last season. And as a result, he's well down on the averages list. And you've got to scroll quite far. I just had a look then just to put him into one of my teams. Had to scroll quite far to try and find his name. So if you're a coach that sort of just looks at the top 5 averages or however you go about your construction, you might not consider someone like Sammy Dwarshuis. But Sam Curran departing means there's 4 crucial overs. They could be some of those really important ones, either in the power surge through the middle there or at the end of the innings and the death overs. And obviously Edwards is going to move up the order a little bit as well in the batting lineup. And then it's going to be interesting to see how they use Dwarshuis in the second innings, because the Sixers have won the bat flip in their bowling first. So it will be interesting to see. He probably drops down a little bit now for me, just because I think that maybe he probably had an opportunity to bat a bit more in the opening innings, but chasing he's probably not going to have much of an opportunity now, but we'll see. But I do like the potential for him to bowl all 4 overs in that first innings. I think the key is obviously the venue and the opposition. The Scorchers have given up an average of 41.5 GDS points to all-rounders this season. That includes Dwarshuis' 51 points in Game 1, which, remember, we go all the way back to the start of the season. That was a shortened game at Optus with that rain around. So Dwarshuis still being able to take 2 wickets and add a bunch of dot balls to that game, I think is really important. It was on Optus Stadium, on the Optus Stadium deck as well, so he's familiar with that deck and knows how it plays, and I think it's going to play to his advantage. We've also seen Big Ben in all his GDS glory this season. Look, just a few games ago against the Stars, he took 4 wickets in his 4 overs. That included a maiden over. He had a GDS score of 120. So, look, we've got a low of about 11 and a high of about 120, and if we can find sort of that middle ground for me, I think I'll be pretty happy with that for Ben Dwarshuis.
Yeah, where is the Ben Dwarshuis from last season? He's been certainly underwhelming, but showing glimpses. Remember, he was so good for the Aussies in the T20 tournament recently as well, and he's just being overshadowed by a few teammates there in magenta. Hopefully, we can get a team lineup for the Sydney Sixers pretty soon. We do have the Perth Scorchers lineup, which is as expected. You would presume with Josh Inglis there at 4, Hardy just does shift down to 5, but that's not a big issue, particularly when they're batting first. If they do lose some wickets up front. Inglis, Hardy, Ashton Turner, Laurie Evans, such a dominant middle order there that they take full advantage of that power play. So, yeah, I think for me, I've definitely got.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's all right. I think the key there at the end of that was that Josh Inglis will be your wicketkeeper, and look, he's going to be my wicketkeeper as well. They're batting first. He's going to have every opportunity to get a big score. We've seen Mitch Marsh go absolute bananas this season, but we've also seen him get out quite cheaply. So that, could go either way for that side. But I think Josh Inglis is still probably going to be the better option at this stage, just based on what we've talked about in terms of the Optus Stadium and the way that it plays. We might circle back in a moment to the Sixers lineup once we get confirmation of that. Look, Has obviously not here, but he just wanted to mention that if anyone is looking at the second game in particular, then an all-rounder that you probably should be targeting is Bowie Webster. We've obviously seen some impressive scores from him. He's already averaging, as we said, almost 64 GDS points. And last game was Webster's best so far, delivering an 87-point performance off 51 runs and a wicket. And I think that's the key there for us, is that he's got that perfect role. We've spoken about it all season. That number 3 spot, he gets the bat, plenty of overs with the bat, but he also gets some overs with the ball. And we just love to see where he changes up his bowling style as well. I would hate to face him, not knowing whether he's going to throw down a medium pacer or whether he's going to try and spin that ball all over the place. So it's great to see that he can switch it up to off spin, and we've seen that already this season work to his advantage, and he was able to remove Usman Khawaja as well against the Heat. So yeah, great opportunity there, and it's just going to be whether coaches are happy to take a risk on Webster. That's hard to say, apologies, or whether they're going to just leave it and not worry about that second game. Ninja Stadium also plays quite well to the averages there for all players, 38.2 as we spoke about. So I think if that game does go ahead, I would suggest Webster's going to be one of the top scorers.
Yeah, absolutely. He's overshadowed Mitchie Owen in his short stint as well. Gee, wouldn't that pod team in the all-rounder spot for tomorrow be Bo Webster, Mitch Owen, and Glenn Maxwell? How many coaches are we game enough to go that direction? Actually, I
don't think we speak about Glenn Maxwell enough, do we?
Oh, you're so off him. I just can't wait till he finally has a big game, so there's no Glenn Maxwell slander in the Discord.
Look, earlier before we did skip over it, but Mel did put in the chat who would drop to fit Smith into the T20 World Cup side, as he's definitely batting well, and TC will be followed up straight away with Maxwell. And look, I left it because I didn't want to have any more Maxwell bashing in the chat there. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good, pretty safe bet. I think Smithy's playing way better at the moment.
There we have it on screen. The Sydney Sixers lineup: Smith, Bubba, Philippi at 3, Moises, Lockie Shaw at 5, Edwards, Davies, Dwarshuis, Manenti, Abbott, and Stark. So those 6 frontline bowlers, if you include Ben Manenti as a frontline bowler, I think that certainly wheels up for the 4 pacemen: Stark, Dwarshuis, Edwards, Sean Abbott. Probably almost guarantee a full 4 over allotment from them, and probably just depends how many overs of spin they want to get through. There is every chance that they do want to get through maybe 5 or 6 overs of spin, maybe meaning an over or 2 comes off Edwards. Dwarshuis is probably the first one to miss out there. Sean Abbott did take a bit of stick in the previous match, and I think he missed out on a full allotment of overs. So you probably expect them, the 4 quicks, to be most likely. Joel Davies has had some excellent matches with the ball. What I'd hate is to see Ben Manenti sort of tie down an end or get a wicket and then get a few extra overs as a result of that. Really, we want him getting as few overs as possible, and give 20 overs to the other 5 there, because I think a lot of them will be across my 3 teams.
Yeah, just having a look at some stats quickly around bowling and full allotments. Joel Davis has had 4 full allotment bowls, so 4 overs in 4 matches this season out of his 9 that he's played. He didn't bowl in that first game, obviously shortened match, so he wasn't needed. Look, the last 2 games for Joel Davies has bowled 1 over and then 3 overs in the last 2 games. However, Manenti has bowled 3 and 3. So, yeah, a bit concerning to see where they go next. But yeah, hopefully they just get a couple of overs out of the 2, and then, like you said, load up on the quicks. We obviously know the Perth deck is hard and fast, and it probably is a quicks paradise, really. That's how the Scorchers have played for the last 15 years, and they've had plenty of success. So I'd expect something similar. If I was going to lean towards one, Mian's put in the chat one of Dwarshuis and Abbott, who's likely to bowl their full overs and some death overs. I'm probably leaning towards Dwarshuis still, mainly because of the upside that we've seen in other aspects of the game as well. Abbott has taken a couple of catches, but I just think Dwarshuis potentially might get, if anyone does miss an over or 2, we've seen Abbott miss a couple this season, so I feel like Dwarshuis maybe relied on a little bit more. I could be a little bit biased as well because I am keen to play Dwarshuis. So, but that would be my take there.
Yeah. I think Abbott is probably the preferred option. He gets the overs up front. We did see Dwarshuis dropped for a game recently when they had Curran available for selection and Mitch Starc came back. But it probably just comes down to who's bowling better on the night. There's not much between them. Like the case with Manenti, if he starts well, he's going to get the ball again. If he takes a bit of stick, then it's probably less likely that he gets the ball back. And the same case there for Sean Abbott and Dwarshuis as well. So if you're playing either of them, you want them to start well so that they're likely to get the ball again. If they cop a bit of stick in their first over or two, Enriquez is going to be less inclined to go back to them, I think.
And I think, as I said, look, we haven't seen a whole lot from Ben Dwarshuis in terms of batting. He did have a couple of decent outings in terms of, for bowlers, decent outings, I should say. So he had a 14, 6, or 5. So, if they want to move him up the order for whatever reason, he would be the one to go up as well. I don't think there's a world where Sean Abbott probably even bats at all. I know it's maybe a lukewarm take, but I just don't see them batting that deep at all in pretty much any game that they play, with the likes of Steve Smith-Bubba and Josh Phillippe at the top. Even Moses has been hitting them quite well through the middle overs as well. So, I just can't see a world where Sean Abbott needs to bat at all. And if they do want someone to come up and have a big hit, a swing and hope, then Ben Dwarshuis would be that man. And we've seen in the past how good he can be with the bat, and we just have to hope that that's the case. So I'd be leaning that way if I was going to. Look, let's start talking about some bowlers, and maybe we can have a bit more conversation as we go through. On screen, you can see the top averaging bowlers. Mitchy Starc's come back to the BBL after, 11 years away, the longest time away from BBL between stints, and he's just picked up where he left off, averaging 100 GDS points. Since returning, David Payne has also had some great games so far, sitting at an average of 55, alongside his teammate Jai Richardson, who had that awesome performance the other night, averaging 55 as well. Harris Ralph, we don't see Siddle on this board anymore. Harris Ralph's taken a little bit of a nudge ahead against his teammate on 50 GDS points, and then Nathan Ellis is still sitting there on 46. Unfortunately, the news out of the Canes camp is that Ellis has not been named in the 14-man squad. So I know you were pretty keen on him if that game did go ahead, but we've had to put a line through him. Where are you looking instead?
Yeah, picked up a niggle in that previous match, so I think it must be pretty bad though if they can't roll him out for a must-win match, or not even name him in that squad. So anyone that has penciled Ellis in, probably not going to be fit moving into a potential elimination final or grand final if they do manage to get there. But for me, it's going to be Mitchell Starc, like another easy take, I think, but bowling first. No Sam Curran in that Sixers lineup now. He's going to be one of the highest ceiling quicks available this round. And that big 100-point game against the Heat certainly reminded us all that he can certainly do it with the white ball as well. It was a massive blow he delivered to Heat fans, claiming 4 for 34 and knocking them out of the competition. Unfortunately, many coaches probably thought he was a bit underwhelming in his first game back for the Sixers. Just the 1 for 31 against the Thunder. Copped a bit of stick early on from Warner and Jilks. But, bounced back in typical Mitch Starc fashion there against the Heat, of course. Optus has been a pretty happy hunting ground for Mitchell Starc. We've only got to go back to November to be reminded of that 10-wicket match that he claimed against the Poms. He stamped his mark on that Ashes series from day one, and he didn't disappoint from then onwards as well. So, a lot of success in Perth already so far this season. And like you said, limited Big Bash experience, just the 12 games, isn't it? 25 wickets in 12 games, and a strike rate of a wicket just under every 11 balls. So we could probably safely pencil in for 2 wickets based on that stat there. And a 3rd wicket obviously means the excellent bump for the 3-wicket bonus. We know that the Perth Scorchers are going to show a lot of intent early on when Starc gets the ball. And whenever he is bowling, they're probably going to want to use his pace to try to clear the fence, or at least clear the infield, particularly if he's bowling in the surge or the power play. There's no more aggressive opening combination than Mitch Marsh and Finn Allen. And when aggressive batting does occur at the top of the innings, that also obviously comes with plenty of edges and mishits. So we're going to see Mitchy Starc bowl the all-important overs. The batsmen are probably going to want to go after him using his pace. That's going to bring about some downfall. He's going to get an over at the death as well, you'd expect. So that only increases his wicket-taking ceiling. And I think he's actually a bit of a pod, given he hasn't really been in the game too often. And therefore, a lot of coaches were scrambling for some cards of Mitch Starc last Sunday. I think the same case, it's going to be the same again this round, particularly if people are wanting to fade tomorrow night.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the thing about Starkey is, like you said, he's played those 12 games. He's taken a wicket in every game. And just that strike rate is unbelievable, under 11 balls per wicket. So it's hard not to play him in your side unless you don't have a card, which you probably need to do everything you can right now to get one into your side if you are looking to push for that top 5 finish. I'm assuming that most will have him. I think for me, it's just such an easy pick as well, because you've got that rain around. It's easy to just go Mitch Starc. He's the only bowling option for the Sixers. So I think it's an easy pick, but it makes sense as well. All of those stats that you rattle off, it's an easy pick because of the options, but also because of how good he is with the ball in hand. And I think 2 wickets is probably again a lukewarm take. And I think 4 is probably heading towards a spicy take. If we can see 5, that would be unreal from Mitchy Starc. Another player that we'd love to see a fifer from is Harris Ralph, if that game goes ahead tomorrow. I think I'm going to say it, and I hope I don't ruin it, Stu, but I think your theory between Siddle and Ralph is broken this week, this round, if that game does go ahead. I think it's time, and we've obviously seen some unreal form from Ralphie. It's been a great battle as well between the two of them. The two Stars players have just been head to head all season and neck with their stats, and they've been so similar. The 1 up, 1 down theory has been in full effect. Outside the one game that they both scored 23 in, and that's how similar it was. I think I also looked at their best stats this season. They both have 3 for 23 as their best stats this season. So the two of them just cannot find a way to get past. They're almost identical, but I think maybe the younger of the two has probably taken a slight edge now. And I think hopefully he's going to continue that trend if the game goes ahead tomorrow. When looking at averages, Ralph's taken that clear lead. It's probably a little bit closer, though, than the GDS stats suggest. The Stats Centre obviously shows the average based on the best of the double. So Ralph's average there on screen, currently 50 GDS points. However, if we include both of those games, his average just drops slightly to 48. So it's not too different, but it's just important to note that. Same with Siddle. I think it's a point difference in terms of what he's at on the GDS stats page versus what his actual average is, and his is about 46 now. So he started to take a drop just a little bit, but not too much. Ralph's gone wicketless in only 1 game this season. However, in that game, he still contributed 16 dot balls, and he took a catch as well. So that was that 23-point game. And I feel like that's probably his true flaw, really, is that 20-point game where he has a lot of dot balls, and then he has been quite effective in the field the last couple of games. I think he's taken 3 catches in the last 3 games. So definitely an opportunity there for him to continue that GDS scoring. There's only been 1 occasion this season where Ralph wasn't given his full allotment. However, he still bowled those 3 overs in that match compared to Siddle. Obviously, they were giving him a bit of a rest in that game against the Strikers. He did only have 1 over in that game, but across all of the games, he's missed 4 overs in total, whereas Ralph's only missed the 1 in total. So I guess looking at that, if for whatever reason the Stars are well ahead and they don't need to give Siddle the ball, they probably won't, just to make sure his body's right for the next match. So I think for me, the key is going to be that age factor and the making sure that Ralph gets majority of those overs. The other thing I think is important to note is that strike rate. We talked about how dangerous Mitch Starc is with that strike rate. This season for Harris Ralph, he's taken a wicket every 12.8 balls, whereas Siddle's taking one every 13.5. So slight difference there. That's probably one of the only stats really that's different between the two. Everything else is almost identical. So we can expect just a little better strike rate from Ralph. And for that reason, I think I'm just going to back him in this game if it goes ahead tomorrow. In saying that, we obviously we can't pivot at all. I'm going to lock him into one of my sides where I'm going to have a number of pods if tomorrow's game does go ahead.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? Yeah. I can't quite get there in my main team, but he'd certainly be, probably one of the first 3 selected easily if that game looked like conditions were fine. And I think if the game does go ahead tomorrow and we do get the full 40 overs, I think any coach that maybe risked it or just backed their gut in are probably going to be pretty handsomely rewarded with a nice haul from Harris Ralph. Can't get there in my main squad. It will just be so heartbreaking to see someone go off tonight in the bowler position that you were umming and ahhing about, and then only to see the weather intervene tomorrow night as well and not get a result. Or, even if the rain comes a little bit later, there's every chance that we could see a shortened match, and obviously that means less overs for the quick. So it's just one of those things, unfortunately. I think you're spot on with every ground in Australia needing a roof, and then we wouldn't have to spend 15 minutes every 2 or 3 shows debating about all of these what ifs and contingency plans due to the weather. Fingers crossed we do get the game in, but if my 11 or 10 or 11 players go well tonight, then if the weather gods want to intervene, then I won't be too upset.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly, has let us know that he's really keen on Jai Richardson, as most people should be after that 134 point performance, in the last game, where it was really probably the perfect bowling performance, I think, and probably obviously the best we've seen from Jai this season. Has pointed out that spell sort of felt like Jai's rediscovered his confidence and the control that we know that he has, and everything sort of aligned for him. The pace, the movement, the variations, and the intent was there from Jai. So hopefully that just allows him to have another big game tonight. And I think a lot of coaches, if they are going to load up in tonight's game, they're probably going to go with the combination of Richo and Payne, and then maybe the pod of Beardman, who is still chugging along quite nicely. Probably not getting the numbers compared to those two, but he's still taking wickets and he's still looking really good. And I can't wait to see how he continues to develop. I just have an absolute bromance for my man, Marley Beardman. But I definitely will be following in his footsteps and putting Jai Richardson into pretty much all of my squads, I think. And I'm sure you're probably looking at the same things, Stu.
Every chance for a sneaky little bat there, named at 8 as well. Batting first. The teams batting first at Optus have been bowled out on 3 occasions. So there's every chance, if the Sixers bowlers are on top, then we might have to see a little late innings cameo. And that only boosts that ceiling of Jai Richardson. He's not one of the, a hack coming out at number 11 like we've seen plenty of fast bowlers. He can actually, swing that willow pretty good and clear the fence. He just needs to get onto a couple of them, and he can, put some pretty nice safety onto that floor before he even picks up a ball. How good would that be?
Unreal. How good would that be? Alrighty, let's have a look at our consensus 11, and obviously. We have included both games in this, but please make your own decisions around whether you do play tomorrow night's game or not. We've got Sam Harper at the top there, Smith, Connolly and Finn Allen as our batsmen. We've got Stoinis, Aaron Hardy, Jack Edwards and Bo Webster rounding out our all-rounders. And then in the bowlers, we have Mitch Starc with Harris Ralph and we've got Jai Richardson. Then our 2 pods, obviously we touched on Chowdhury and the potential of him bowling a couple of overs and then having a decent bat as well. Obviously, the bat flip's going to be super important there. If they bat first, he's more likely to have a couple of extra runs up his sleeve as well. And then the big pod of Mitch Marsh tonight in the all-rounder position. We talked about him last week as a potential in the double game. He didn't quite fire as much as we wanted, so maybe this is his game there where Mitchy Marsh just takes off and reminds everyone why he is one of the best T20 players and why he's the captain of the Australian side. Alrighty, Brodown Showdown, a bit disappointing this week with the double game. We all went with the Scorchers, and Hayes once again took over and got the victory there with Jai Richardson 134 GS points. And in fact, it's the first time this season. In fact, maybe it's the first time ever that this has happened, but nobody voted for Hayes. We do not have a Brodown Showdown winner on the wheel. So instead, we've done something different. We've put everyone in that commented either on the show last week with Brodown Showdown or tonight as well. and we're going to give away 3 one-player unique packs to say thank you to everyone in the chat and continuing to follow us. So without further ado, let's get that wheel up on screen. And then I think I need to make some last-minute changes to my slide.
I do too. Yeah.
Alrighty, so you should be able to see your name on screen. If you are sitting in the chat and you haven't commented yet, you've just been following along, make sure you do, and I'll try and get you in. So, Stu, if you can keep an eye on that chat there, and I can add them to the wheel if possible. All right, let's get into it. Good luck. The first winner of a one-player unique. Tony's Legends.
Tony, well done.
Shuffle it again. Here we go. Second winner. Yes, me.
Yes, well done.
And let's get one more winner in. Oh, Maxi just missed out. Aditya there as well. Alrighty, congrats to those 3. Let's jump across and let's open a couple of packs. Alrighty. Should be able to see those packs on screen.
Yes, got them.
Let's jump in. Everyone seems quite slow. Let's see if we can open a pack where I might need to refresh.
Yeah, guilty.
Alrighty, here we go. Good luck, everyone. Yep, we are going to have to refresh. Apologies.
So what do we got? First one for Tony, is it?
While it is refreshing, not giving away particular teams, the final strategy for tonight's game and tomorrow's game.
Yeah, very quickly loading up mostly tonight. I'm going to leave a spot open for tomorrow. I won't say where or, well, it is in my favorite team. There's going to be a spot open just in case. I think if the game does go ahead, the ceiling there is too difficult to ignore. I will be kicking stones and disappointed if it doesn't go ahead. But yeah, I think it'll be quite consistent across the comp. Most people loading up tonight. If you're game enough to take a risk tomorrow, it could pay off handsomely, but you could also be one disappointed GDS player at about this time, 24 hours time.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm doing something similar. Okay, let's go. So Tony's Legends up first. Here is your one-play unique. Let's see if we can get a legend today. Have we pulled a legend on screen? I don't think we have yet. Sammy Harper, big one
no,
there.
We have not. Oh, that's pretty handy.
How good is that? Tony, get in touch with us either on Discord, Instagram, etc., so we can get that to you as quick as possible. Second up is Mian G. Good luck, Mian. Here is your card for tonight. Another plat. We've got Mr. Bean himself. Beanpole. Alrighty, and finally, Aditya. Let's see what we can get for you. Let's go. Something good. Come on. And we finished strong with a Tom Curran.
Oh, very nice.
Couple of decent stars players there, and quite apt that all 3 that we pulled are in the final series. Alrighty, that is almost it. We've got a couple more Bro Down Showdowns, but as you said, Stu, I believe that has probably taken the unassailable lead. The best he can probably do is a tie from here, although looking at his pick this week, I think he will probably go ahead. So Steve Smith there for Has. Stu, you've got Mitch Stark, and then I've taken Aaron Hardy. So if you think Has is going to continue to dominate, comment Has. If you see Mitch Stark taking over, comment Stu. If you think Hardy is going to get it done with ball and bat, comment Dill, and you can be in the running to win some unreal cards. Look, I've just noticed there, Timo, I didn't have your name up. Message me on Discord and I will sort something out for you, mate. Apologies for that. I didn't see you earlier in the stream. So, yeah, make sure you hit me up on Discord, Timo. Apologies for that. All right, get your comments in. Thank you very much for another unreal show. Look, round 16 is going to come to you Thursday, so the night before. So the game isn't on until Friday, but we thought we might do the live show with the squads and not necessarily the final 11, just to give you some time to digest everything and also give us some time. It is only the single game, and then that leads into the grand final on Sunday. We will have a massive grand final preview show Sunday evening, so make sure that you get involved over the next couple of nights. Good luck to everyone. Stu, good luck, mate. Hopefully you hold on to that third spot, maybe even push for a second or first in champ.
Thanks, mate. You too. Thanks, everyone, for joining once again. Catch you next time.